he ain't been indicted of anything. He ain't been charged. Like, can we suspend the guy on? I mean, if that's the case, there's a lot of people going to be suspended even worse. Like, you can't suspend a man for something that no one has brought charges on.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis discuss the continuing sagas of both the Washington Commanders and Deshawn Watson, Lamar Jackson's contract, as well as more stories from around the league. Welcome to today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner by special request. Shout out to Dr. Sharasco Coleman, the Arn Anderson to my Tully Blanchard and the Four Horsemen. Never a bad time for that request. The icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, first of all, happy Father's Day week on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Yes, sir.
And I had an opportunity to spend some time with some really powerful, positive brothers, high school, middle school, and high school friends and teammates. And one of them is Sharasco Coleman, who is an amazing educator. And I said, hey, man, any requests for tag teams tomorrow? And Ross said, Tully and R, baby. And I said, I will reset Tully and R every week if you want me to.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Tully and R. Can't.
How are you this Father's Day, sir?
Oh, man, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. I'm well. I got a little breakfast for Father's Day. So far, so good. Starting out all right.
I ain't got no problems with that. Well, on this Top Shelf Tuesday edition, man, we're going to continue to talk about the Washington Commanders. We're going to continue to talk about Deshawn Watson. We're going to talk contracts with Lamar Jackson, as well as just, more stories from around the league. So more fallout from Jack Del Rio. Jason Reed, one of the best writers in the country, wrote on Anscape, and you can find Anscape on ESPN, wrote an article about Jack Del Rio. And I wanted to take some highlights from the article because, Mike, it caused me pause when I read the article. So I'm going to give you some of the tidbits, and then I'd like to get your reaction on each of them. So, on the face of it, he said in the article, and all of this is from Jason Reed's article, it looked like Washington took significant action by leveling a six-figure fine against him, strongly suggesting that he'll get off Twitter, which he deleted. Commanders head coach said that Del Rio apologized to the team and it was well received.
Shit.
But, man, when you hear from future Hall of Famers like Ed Reed, who emphasized this point on Twitter, urging Washington to take a tougher stance. Ed Reed said he's sick and tired. A dust up, $100,000 is not enough money. This person is recycled through coaching. At minimum, he should have had a fine and a suspension based on that. So I know you had a chance to just glance at it, but before we get to the football part and everything else, what was your initial thoughts when I sent you Jason Reed's strongly worded article on Anscape?
This was a dust over.
Yeah, dust
That's
up,
what that
man.
was. Dust up. Well, the fine was a dust over. I mean,
Yes.
they're just trying to make it look, they got to show that they did something, but that is just, you just can't allow people to, that kind of thought is what got the situation started to begin with. Let's go from there. If people didn't think like he thought, that January 6th would have never happened. So true colors come out, and the older people get, the less they worry about people finding out about their truth. And this man has built a career on the backs of people who are trying to go against this. So, as far as the players accepting it, I'm not going to say they accepted it. They didn't accept what he said. They just want to accept their checks. So,
Yes.
you know what I mean. So,
So
for oh yeah, we cool. Yeah, as long as the check keep coming, they he could have said anything in there, but
so
it's still not good.
let's look at the football part. Coach Ron Rivera has had losing seasons in his first 2 years in Washington
Hmm.
and enters his third relying on Carson Wentz.
Hmm.
Now Rivera must keep an eye on his defensive coordinator who, yeah, he's not on Twitter, but somebody's going to stick a microphone in his face. So you
Somebody,
got that.
if just that.
so again, we're just not even getting into the football piece. So then we got to think about the NFL since 2016. Patrick Mahomes and other black quarterbacks in 2020 challenged club owners, and they're still air quote good enough that they can have an impact, so to speak.
Hmm.
So they've made that challenge, and in response to those challenges, the league has done some things to increase opportunities for interaction. That's what I call it, opportunities for interactions between minorities and league decision makers. Brian Flores' lawsuit's still out there. And Goodell has acknowledged that the NFL must do a better job. So, with all of that said, Del Rio's comments still kind of say there's a lot more that needs to be done. And you also have to remember what has been said. I mean, we live in an era that everything is captured. Back in 2017, Houston Texans owner Bob McNair said, "We can't have the inmates running the prison,"
Hmm.
quote unquote.
Hmm.
Um, Black officials blasted Denver Broncos coach at that time, Vic Fangio, for saying he doesn't see racism at all in the NFL. That's what
Hmm.
he said. And then you had New Orleans quarterback at the time, Drew Brees, formerly of NBC Sports now, say he will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America. All of them later apologized. And I said to you, notice a trend there. And I think when we were talking about Jack Del Rio, I said the apology's coming. It's coming.
Hmm. It's coming.
Um, so, the takeaway, an NFL club owner, a head coach, a top assistant coach who was formerly a head coach, and a face of a franchise all have said and walked back racially insensitive and offensive comments under pressure. The NFL is an overwhelmingly black league. And before joining Rivera's staff, Del Rio was a head coach for 12 years. So we live in the DMV, the District, Maryland, and Virginia, and I'm with a lot of regular people. You're with a lot of regular people. And the regular fans, quite frankly, Mike, are just tired. They really just don't support the team like they did in the past. We grew up here, and when we were in grade school, junior high, and high school, man, it was HTTR all over the place. They won 3 titles in like 10 years. The decade of the 80s, you could
Hmm.
say, was theirs too, and the early 90s. And then since then, it's just kind of been a habit and a routine, but not a passion. Um, so I hope they don't lose to Jacksonville Jaguars September 11th at 1 p.m. because that's just going to start. So this just in, uh, the Washington Commanders coach was fined $100,000 and stripped of 2 OTA practices for conducting excessive contact drills in the spring. In addition, the House Oversight Committee is imploring Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder to get a better internet connection and get his tail uh, on the congressional hearing that is coming up. So as we wrap up what has become a weekly conundrum of Washington Commanders news, man, what is your final take this week on just so much non-on-field stuff to talk about? Because Terry McLaurin still ain't coming to practice either.
Nah, it's just too much. Like, you can't settle in and just concentrate on football. We talk about distractions, but damn, when everybody talk about players, but when it's your coaches and your owners, like, how do you take anything serious? And then you wonder how you don't build a culture of success or culture of winning. That culture is a survival culture right now. You just try and get the check. You
Yeah.
don't care about nothing else.
All right, so we're going to transition into the second story that we're like, oh man, it just gets worse every week. Deshawn Watson is still in the news. He recently reiterated that he is innocent of numerous allegations, soon to be 26, they tell me, of inappropriate sexual conduct during massage sessions. He did speak to the media, and part of what he said is, and I quote, "I do understand that I do have regrets as far as the impact that it's had on the community and the people outside of just myself. That includes males, females, everyone across the world. That's one thing I do regret, is the impact that it's triggered on so many people. It's tough to have that to deal with." The NFL investigation, although 2 grand juries in Texas declined to pursue criminal charges, the NFL is investigating whether that he violated their code of conduct, and Roger Goodell continues to stay on that he thought the NFL was nearing the end of the investigation. When Watson was asked how the legal situation is affecting him, he said it's been tough and he's trying to keep a balance with his mental health and social life. Real talk, man. Mike, how long should this suspension be? Real talk.
He ain't been indicted of anything. He ain't been charged. Like, can we suspend the guy on? I mean, if that's the case, there's a lot of people going to be suspended even worse. Like, you can't suspend a man for something that no one has brought charges on, in my opinion. Like, so either something happened or it didn't, and they got to make up, what it is and get it moving. Try to solve this thing. Like, but I could see him going to at least 6 games, probably.
All right. So
That's it. 6 games.
They suspended Tom Brady for 4 games about some balls. That we still are like, what the hell is that? They suspended Ben Roethlisberger
I
for
forgot
6
all about
games. That. We suspend people for socks and headbands and cleats. Okay. This guy has, on paper, 24 allegations against them, and possibly 2 more coming. We have the Houston Texans helping him with NDAs. I'm thinking at least a year. I'm going out there saying he's not playing this. I'm Dr. Adams looking at all the evidence, reading the room, is saying, hey man, he's not playing this season. I'm just come out, hey fans, and Mike probably right that it will be something soft like 6 games or something based on all the evidence, and Roger Goodell will figure it out because they're all lawyers and they'll verbalize it however. But Dr. Adams is thinking, man, you got all of these things going on. You got in racism. You got all of these superficial things that you're doing, saying you're different. And then to have that guy play based off the evidence itself, there was some inappropriate actions. So that's suspendable based on the league's code of conduct. Cleveland's already said they're going to give him his money. And they're not looking to get any money back. So that's Cleveland's got that to deal with for 17 weeks. Okay, that's on them. They picked that. But that's what I'm thinking, man. And you're thinking six games,
maybe.
So should be interesting. But with
that's
that,
crazy.
Fans, we'll see what happens. Law and order and contracts and whatever.
Dum.
On that note, we'll be right back after this short commercial break with some more entertaining, happy stuff on the iCoaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. And as we begin segment 2, I've been waiting all week for this. Lamar Jackson's contract status. So, Mike, his contract situation is unprecedented. He's one of the few players with no agent, yet I am sure he's got somebody looking at this contract. I'm sure he does. His contract expired in March. It expires in March, and he is eligible for an extension. And the quarterback market has shot up. $45 million for Patrick Mahomes, $50 million for Aaron Rodgers, and $230 guaranteed for Deshawn Watson. And Deshawn didn't even play last year. So this guy's a former MVP. And I want to give you some thoughts that management said. I need you to uncode what management is saying. So the owner of the Ravens, Steve Bisciotti, said about Lamar Jackson, he's a unique cat. And what are you going to do with a guy who wants to be unique? We're taking him as we take him. We appreciate him. All I know is his teammates freaking love him and the front office loves him. It's like, you just keep doing what you're doing, Lamar, and we'll make it work somehow. So how do you read that?
That means they are no closer to a negotiable contract. That's what it means. That's what I read. I read that they have no idea where he is. Where do you put him on the market? What's going on? There's nothing. Because almost you can't though. Like, where does he fit in that? Like, he ain't been to a Super Bowl like some of these guys. So what does he deserve? What's his value? Now, to the Ravens, his value is different than it is to other programs, correct?
That would be correct, sir.
So it's going to be a tough one.
All right, so there's 4 options, fans. That's it. I mean, real talk. The Ravens signed Jackson to a new deal before his contract expires. Baltimore slaps the franchise tag on him and signs him to a long-term deal.
I think that's what I would do.
Jackson hits free agency after playing under the franchise tag, and he would hit free agency in 2025. So the Ravens would get 2 more years out of him if he actually went out on the field. And the Ravens trade Jackson, and there's no way they're going to trade him. Mike, no. So you think they're going to slap the tag on him and extend that?
And try to figure it out. It's the best way to do it because he gets hurt, things like that. I gotta believe it's not going to be easy to actually get him in the right situation and find a contract for him because of the things he does and the risk of him being injured because of the way he plays. Like, it's going to be hard to put together a package that is comparable to what he's facing. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough. That's probably the toughest contract there is out there.
And Dr. Adams, the Tipo GM owner, let him hit free agency after 2 years. Screw it. I mean, because I can get another quarterback, but I'm cheap. So that's why I'm not a league owner. And speaking of being cheap, Kyler Murray. So Arizona coach Cliff Kingsbury wants Kyler Murray's contract situation to be resolved before the team reunites for training camp late next month. Kingsbury, who I'm not a big fan of, is well documented. He said, I'm praying before training camp. If Murray doesn't receive an extension on a new deal by then, Kingsbury casts some doubt about the quarterback reporting for training camp. Murray is set to earn $5.5 million this season, $29.7 million next season after his 5th-year option was picked up. Murray wants a new deal on par with Mahomes, Josh Allen, Deshawn Watson, and Dak
Shit.
Prescott. That's what he wants.
Mm,
Kingsbury expects it to be a franchise deal.
mm.
A franchise record-setting deal. He said Murray is the leader of this franchise. And what do you think is going to happen with Kyler Murray, sir? Because
First of
you
all,
are a fan of
what he want? You know what I mean? Like
him.
people in hell want ice water. We don't always get what we want. So I don't put him on the level of those guys, Watson and all them. Now he got to slow down. I like the kid a lot, but he got to slow down now.
Deshaun got 230 and didn't play one damn down. That just set the market
Uh,
like crazy.
maybe that's what Cleveland was trying to do. Make it
Cleveland
tough on
messed it up
everybody
for a
else.
while, and they succeeded.
But it would be just like Cleveland to have this happen.
All right. So as we close this segment, how about them Cowboys?
Oh God.
Mike McCarthy is taking an unorthodox approach, of course, after he was fined, I'm sure, to mandatory minicamp, and it involves shortening it by 2/3. He's going to have to shorten it now because I think the league got them too. You might know more than I do. The usual 3-day long event won't be in 2022. The Dallas Cowboys are canceling the final session on Thursday, sent their players home early. So instead of the usual camp type stuff, they went to Top Golf, and it was supposed to build team morale with everybody challenging each other. Mike Dallas has continued to underperform for about 20 years. What are you thinking about Mike McCarthy's offseason approach, even though I think they got fined too?
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to try something different because everything else they've been doing ain't working. And it ain't just Mike McCarthy. I don't think he should get the blame for this. This starts at the top. Mm. Going back to this January 16th, same thing. It all starts at the top. We have leaders that are out of control, um, thinking they can do what they want to do, not really thinking about the whole program itself or everyone involved, just thinking of themselves, as Jerry Jones has done for the last 20 years. This is what you end up with. It doesn't matter. You get a revolving door of coaches or whatever because Jerry Jones ain't changed.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You've tried everything.
the culture ain't changed. So as long as Jerry Jones is there, this is what you're going to repeatedly get.
Well, good luck to Mike as he continues to build camaraderie, and we'll be right back after this brief
Was
break.
Jerry Jones at Top Golf?
I don't know,
Then
but I hear Top Golf is fun. I need to
it is. It's
go
amazing. It's amazing.
there. Hey, if you'd like to donate and sponsor the show, Top Golf, we'll take your product, and we'll be right back.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project's book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success, is now available for purchase. The book serves as both a memoir of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes numerous personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues, including former George Mason standout Follering Campbell. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, man, we're all over the place. So, Mike, just sit back and enjoy. So, first of all, is this too much? I believe it's pronounced Mika Fitzpatrick.
Mika
is got an $18.4 million contract as a safety. All right, 4-year extension worth $18.4 million per year. He was also given $36 million guaranteed at signing. Is that too much for a safety?
No, it's not.
That's not too much. Tell me about
That's not
that.
enough about Mika. Mika controls the game. He goes back to one of them Ed Reed kind of guys. Also the what was it called? The Honey Badger kind of guys. Like you got some guys that's on defense that just are as dynamic and control the game like a quarterback on the offensive end. And Mika Fitzpatrick is one of those guys. He's tough. You can put him down in the box He can cover, and that's the thing. When you got one of them guys who can get in the box, fill running lanes, stop the run, rush the quarterback off the edge, and cover in space, like they're like Ed Reed. It's hard to find those guys. Like it's hard
Yeah,
to find them.
that's why I ask you.
Hmm.
All right. Well, we always will celebrate running your own race. Indianapolis starting safety Kari Willis announced he's retiring after 3 seasons to pursue a future in the ministry. Willis was a fourth round draft pick. He became the team's starting strong safety halfway through his rookie year. He finished his career with 219 tackles, 4 interceptions, while starting 33 of 39 games he played. So this is a loss for the Colts. It's a loss in June. This is post draft. Again, congratulations to the young man and his life. I want to ask Coach Francis. This apparently, as you just said with the previous player, that's the important position. He's your starter. How do you deal with that on your end, losing a guy of that caliber?
Well, it's gonna be hard to find somebody. He's a pretty good dude. I'm happy to see him committed to his faith. Not only that, you look around and you see guys who've played. AJ is a free agent, still has back problems. This is a very violent sport. You know, very
Yeah.
violent sport. So,
All right. So training camp really fighting a full position in that one. So I hope there's
hmm
some guys working out.
hmm
All right. So how much would you pay for a number? When Ahmad Sauce Gardner was drafted by the Jets, he decided to look out for number one, and it cost him $50,000. So he was determined to secure his old college number. The rookie quarterback paid a handsome sum to DJ Reed, his teammate, for the number. Um, and would you pay $50,000 for your favorite numbers?
yeah, if I got everything going with it from marketing or whatever, I might have something coming with my name and my number on it that I already built. So it's easy, easy. It's an investment, so to speak, in this investment. And if you're doing business things with it, you can write it off eventually. You know,
Okay.
you can.
All right. Don't call me a bust. New York Jets tackle Mekhi Becton, nicknamed Big Ticket, delivered a big message to his critics. I'm going to make them eat their words. That's what he said at the conclusion of the 2-day minicamp. Becton, who has battled injuries and weight problems since a promising rookie year, sounded determined to change the narrative because they have been calling him not big ticket, but big bust. So he is listed at 6'7", 363, and that was the weight from the 2020 scouting combine. He missed 16 games last season due to knee surgery. And after skipping the voluntary portion of the offseason, he trained in Texas. His girlfriend delivered their first child, and congratulations to that. Now, here's where I get Coach Francis in. Coach Robert Sala didn't mention his exact weight, and he was noticeably lukewarm on Becton. He wasn't critical, but he didn't go out of his way to compliment him. Coach said he has 40 days to continue to work and get himself ready to play football. Please decode that message, sir, after I told you about the player. What do you think Coach is saying?
Coach is trying to get him to, ship up or ship out. Like, we're gonna move on if you're not coming with it, man. Like, these big guys and these injuries is bad, especially at that left tackle position. And the more you weigh, the longer your legs, you have circulation problems, you have issues. Um, I feel bad for them blaming him because he stayed in Texas, but his girlfriend had a baby.
No,
That's an experience. That's an experience. I can excuse him for that. Like, he's supposed to go through that.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. I don't think they had a problem with that. I think they have a problem with the weight. Because
Well,
again, if you're in shape, nobody's yelling at you about anything and they're singing cigars. But when the coach says he's got 40 days to continue to work and get himself ready to play football,
mhm.
that is not a ringing endorsement.
Yeah, but we gain weight too during the pregnancy. We get
Oh yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. We do because we sit around and we eat and we run back and forth and it happens. Men get pregnancy weight.
Yeah.
I'm still
Haven't ha-
trying to lose mine. AJ 32 years ago.
All right, and we're going to close this week with some ridiculous predictions strictly for entertainment purposes only. Thank you to ESPN, and I don't know if this is the Caesar Sportsbook or not, but they did a quick article on which team is your favorite play to win the Super Bowl next year and make a little money. So if you bet, fans, strictly for entertainment purposes, on the Philadelphia Eagles, you can get the Eagles now at plus 3,000. So what that means is if I put 100 down, I'm going to get 3,000 back. So is that a safe one, Coach, to put? The odd coaches put 10 down, and I'd get 300 back. We put 10 down on the Eagles, sir, to win the Super Bowl?
Maybe 20. Yeah, 10 and 10.
All right. Denver Broncos plus 1,600. What do you think? Is that a safe one? You know they're one player away.
I'm not missing I'm not wasting my $10.
Buffalo is plus 650. I might drop 10 on that in the futures. We will do some futures bets. I don't know how many because we no budget productions.
I don't know if Buffalo secured their defense. I don't know if their defense secure enough to get that though.
And the Ravens are plus 2,200.
That ain't gonna
happen. All right, fans. So you can put it down. OCP summer previews begin in early July. So we are looking forward to having folks this week, fans. Many of our loyal listeners and longtime friends of Dr. Adams and Coach Francis will be receiving emails, and you get to say whether or not you're in or out because this ship's moving, baby. And we'd love to have you on board. So, Coach, any final thoughts this week before we close out?
No, sir. Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Absolutely. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.